The long haul. Tom Reynolds had always been a man of the highway. Born in a small Kansas town, he grew up in the shadow of his father, who drove 18-wheelers across the Midwest. Tom was fascinated by the size of the rigs, the rumble of diesel engines, and the stories his father told about the open road. By the time Tom turned 21, he had his commercial license and a job hauling freight coast to coast. The road quickly became his second home. Endless miles of asphalt, cheap diners glowing with neon, and truck stop showers that never quite worked right. There was freedom in trucking. The horizon stretched wide and endless, and each delivery took him somewhere new. But freedom had a cost. The paychecks were steady but thin after expenses. Tires blew out, fuel prices rose, and the long weeks away from his wife and newborn daughter wore him down. At 30, Tom looked at his life and realized he was barely moving forward. He had driven millions of miles, but his savings were almost nothing. He was a workhorse in someone else's stable. One crisis on the road. In 2008, when the financial crisis hit, Tom's trucking company collapsed overnight. One morning he had routes lined up for weeks, the next he was jobless. With just $3,000 in savings, rent due, and a family depending on him, Tom felt cornered. He thought about quitting trucking altogether, maybe working in a warehouse. But then he saw an auction listing, a battered old Peterbilt truck, decades past its prime, going cheap. Against his wife's worries, Tom bought it. It rattled, the paint was peeling, and the odometer had rolled over more than once. But it was his. That truck was freedom. It meant he didn't have to beg a boss for routes. He could find his own loads, set his own hours, and build something for himself. 2. The grind. The early years were brutal. Tom was an owner-operator with no reputation. Brokers ignored his calls, shippers doubted him. He spent nights in freezing rest areas, cutting costs wherever he could, eating instant noodles while waiting for his phone to buzz with a load. But he had one advantage: reliability. If Tom said he'd deliver, he did, no excuses. Rain, snow, breakdowns, he found a way. Slowly, customers noticed. A farm equipment supplier gave him regular work, then a construction company added him to their list. By 2012, Tom had 3 trucks. 2 other drivers, old friends from the road, joined him. He paid them fairly, gave bonuses when jobs went well, and never docked pay over technicalities like some big carriers did. Drivers respected him. Word spread that Reynolds was a man worth working for. 3. Building the company. Tom's wife, Sarah, handled dispatching and paperwork from their kitchen table. Their daughter, Emily, often sat nearby coloring while fax machines buzzed and phones rang. It wasn't glamorous, invoices stacked next to school books, but it was a family effort. He officially registered Reynolds Hauling LLC, and the name began to mean something. By 2016, he had 10 trucks, most of them bought used but kept in top shape. His team became a family of drivers who looked out for each other on the road. 4. Storms and struggles. Every road has storms. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, freight rates collapsed. Many trucking firms shut their doors. Tom faced hard decisions. Should he park his fleet, or keep rolling and risk losses? Instead of giving up, Tom pivoted. He shifted his trucks to hauling essential goods, groceries, cleaning supplies, later even medical equipment. The loads didn't pay much at first, but they kept the wheels turning. Slowly, demand surged. By mid-2020, he had more work than trucks to haul it. Tom reinvested every cent. He upgraded to newer trucks, added GPS tracking, and streamlined operations with logistics software. By the end of 2021, Reynolds Hauling had 45 trucks on the road, running contracts across multiple states. 5. The breakthrough. In 2022, a major retailer approached him with a regional distribution contract. The deal required dozens of trucks and strict delivery standards. Bankers doubted him, investors dismissed him as just a trucker. But Tom wasn't about to let the opportunity slip away. He mortgaged his house, negotiated payment terms with truck dealers, and convinced a few small-town investors to back him. The gamble worked. His fleet expanded to over 80 trucks, and Reynolds Hauling delivered flawlessly. By 2023, Tom's small-town trucking company had become a multimillion-dollar logistics operation, employing over 100 people. 6. Full circle. Despite success, Tom never left the road behind. On weekends, he sometimes climbed into his old Peterbilt, the same rusty truck he had bought at auction years earlier, and drove it down familiar highways. When asked why he kept it, Tom said, "This truck fed my family when nothing else would." It taught me that if you take the long haul, mile by mile, you can build something bigger than yourself. Epilogue. Today, Reynolds Hauling runs nationwide routes, with contracts worth tens of millions annually. Tom funds scholarships for truckers' children, supports charities in his hometown, and is admired as a businessman who never forgot his roots. But whenever reporters call him a CEO, Tom just shakes his head and laughs. I'm still a trucker. I just own more trucks now. And somewhere on the highway, his old Peterbilt still rolls, carrying not just freight, but the story of a man who turned miles into a fortune, one haul at a time.